It's college football week number 7. Some big games going on today. Of course, if you're a Clemson fan, okay, maybe it's not a big game, but hopefully one that you can win at Boston College tonight at 7:30. We're diving into the Red River rivalry. Yeah, you have to slow down and say that, or it's to come out, and then people will think that something is wrong with you. Maybe there is, but I'm going to dive in that in a second. Welcome to the channel. I'm simulcasting first on my Clemson channel, then on my new channel, another college football podcast where I talk about college football as a whole. I hope you'll subscribe to both and pass them along to your friends. Remember, that is free. So I do appreciate it. Let's dive into this incredible morning. We had games over the past few days, and I'll quickly get to some of those scores because some of them are quite interesting. So last night, South Florida traveled to North Texas. You're like, who really cares? North Texas, I think, was what, a 2.5-point favorite in this game. They were 5-0. South Florida, their only loss this year is to Miami. And at this point of the season, unless the wheels come off for the Hurricanes, and by the way, no offense, fans of the Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal has let the wheels come off. So, for anyone who's holding their breath, and for those of you who were mad that we would hold our breath with Cristobal's team, he's done it before, and until he proves otherwise, you're always going to have that knot in your stomach. But that's their only loss. South Florida is one of the good stories of this 2025 season. They went into North Texas last night. North Texas jumped out in front of them. And then South Florida just absolutely overpowered them, won 63-36. They're ranked number 24 in the country right now. They improved to 5-1. North Texas is now 5-1 after the loss. That was a really interesting game. Now, there was a bunch of other games before that. If you want to go check those out just to see the scores, you go for it. But, I mean, that was probably the most interesting one last night. So let's dive into top 25 play today. In about 45 minutes from right now, this is a live stream if you're watching in the future, 12 o'clock on Fox, you have Ohio State traveling to Illinois. Ohio State's a 15.5-point favorite. The last time Illinois played a good football team, they got absolutely drugged. I mean, they were just absolutely embarrassed by Indiana. Now, Illinois is 5-1, 2-1 in the conference. They beat Southern Cal, which, are we shocked? But they lost to Indiana 63-10, and that's only about three weeks ago or so. You're playing Ohio State, 5-0, 2-0 in the conference. Ohio State beat Texas, not a big deal. I think if Ohio State played Texas right now, I think they would beat Texas worse than a 14-7 score in an opening game. Washington won last night. They're not doing too bad. In fact, Washington's 5-1. Their only loss is to Ohio State. I'm not saying Washington's an incredible team. I'm just saying that Ohio State did beat them. And I just think that the Buckeyes are just way too much for this Illinois team. Altmaier, solid quarterback, 1,500 yards, almost 1,600, 12 touchdowns. Here's the point here. Ohio State has too much talent. Okay, I say too much talent. You know what I mean. They have more talent across the board than Illinois. And I just don't see them dropping this ball game. I see Ohio State. I'm going to take the under on the spread, the 15.5. I'm going to take the under. I think that Illinois is going to play them a little tougher because they don't want to be embarrassed, right? Before I move on to the next game, I'm going to get into the chat section, say hello to everyone. Oh, Will Man's in here. This is going to be a good game, but we will come out on top. It's talking about Clemson, Boston College. Good to see you. Excuse me. My buddy, Parker Henderson, one of the supporters, a member of the show. He's not only a subscriber. Parker Henderson, good to see you, buddy. Been a long time. Good to see you, pal. Thanks for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Scott Davis, what's up? What's up, Scott Davis? Good to see you, pal. Thumbs up, Grafnar. Grafnar is another member of the channel, not only a subscriber. Thanks for supporting on a monthly basis. Good to see you, buddy. We need to catch up. Roll Tide Army 3275. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. All right, jumping back in here, going to take a look at Other games, 12 o'clock on ABC, Alabama travels to Missouri. Missouri has quietly went 5-0. Alabama comes into this game a 3.5-point favorite. After that loss to Florida State at the very beginning of the season, when people were calling for Kalen DeBoer's head, one of the funny memes is to see this old lady who was interviewed outside, I think, of a gas station when the lottery was up to like $2 billion. She was playing the lottery, and they asked her, what would you do if you won it? I don't know if it was AI deep fake or not, but I think it was real. Could be wrong. She said, I would pay the $70 million buyout for Kalen DeBoer to get rid of him. She said that. I thought it was funny. But Alabama fans, the tide is turning for them. Yeah, pun intended. Ty Simpson, 1,478 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. Since that game, they beat Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a very tough team. If someone woke up out of a coma today and saw how Vanderbilt is playing, they'd be shocked. They'd probably go back into the coma. Missouri, on the other hand, there was not that much expectation for them this year. This was going to be more of a, hey, we got to pull things together. Now, let's pump the brakes with them. They beat Kansas, and they beat a South Carolina team who, if my memory serves me correct, that's when Lenora Sellers got injured. Okay? So they won that ball game. Other than that, all their games, the other 3 games have been against inferior opponents. Today will tell us a lot about Missouri. Now, Drinkwitz can coach. Drinkwitz is one of those guys who you can give him a bunch of 2 stars, and he will take it to 4-star talent. I've talked about this fixing for my Clemson faithful who is in here. I did a video a couple of days ago called Transfer Portal plus Coaching Changes equals Saves Clemson. Okay? I guarantee you that if Eli Drinkwitz was the head coach at Clemson right now, you would be shocked at the results you'd get out of him. A national championship? No, but 2 and 3? Absolutely not. In the here and the now, Eli Drinkwitz could coach Clemson better than what we're seeing right now. And that's going to tick you off. That's going to tick some of you off. But guys like him can coach. Guys like Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State can coach. They realize what they have. They realize the talent that they have. And Missouri has pulled in good players. Please don't take me wrong there. But on a down year, he can still be competitive. Why? The guy knows how to coach overall and gets his coaching staff on board. So with that said, I believe that they're going to play Alabama tough today. Alabama's a 3.5-point favorite going into this game. It's a yawner for Alabama. But I see Alabama outlasting them and giving them their first loss of the season. 12 o'clock, Pittsburgh, Florida State. Florida State's 3-2 coming into this game. 0-2 in the conference, but they're still ranked number 25. Florida State's a 10.5-point favorite. This game's at Doak Campbell. Tommy Castellanos, listen, 1,120 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. This is a game for this guy to get things back on track. You beat Alabama. That was impressive. You've lost 2 games in a row. What was impressive is now becoming slightly depressive. Pittsburgh just made a quarterback change. And, that will be interesting. On paper, Florida State should win this ball game. But we will see. I think Florida State pulls out the win in Doak Campbell. I think that Norvell's sounding the alarm. You lost to Miami. Okay. Virginia. Okay. You can't have 3 losses in a row, guys. You can't. He didn't clean house for 3 losses in a row. And Castellanos has to protect the football. The team has to protect the football, and the defense just has to play defense. Right? That's their problem. They have a defensive problem there. That they had a defensive problem against Miami. Notice the offense turned around and put up points that if you didn't watch that Miami-Florida State game last week and you saw Florida State lost by, 6 points? You'd have went, oh, that was a tough game. You wouldn't have known that Miami had pulled out well ahead of Florida State and that Florida State made a last-minute run to make it look respectful. But they did. Defense is the problem at Florida State. They're going to have to fix that. If not, they'll get loss number 3 today, but I think they'll pull it out. I don't know if they'll cover. It's 10.5. I don't know. 12:45. Washington State travels to Ole Miss. Ole Miss 5-0. This game will be on the SEC Network. Mississippi State is a 33.5 point favorite. Now, here's the key thing for Washington State. You're like, okay, what? I can't wait to hear this bull crap. John Mateer, quarterback at Oklahoma, who could potentially play today. If he plays today against Texas and he's good to go, we'll preview that game in just a moment. It's coming up. It's one of the next 2 games I'm going to preview. That could be different. John Mateer was at Washington State last year. And that guy's, when he's healthy, he balled. 1,215 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Didn't play last week. And that's his numbers. Year before that, a guy named Cam Ward was playing for Washington State. Does Washington State's quarterback, or is he the next it man? Because recent history says potentially. So that will be interesting. Other than that, Ole Miss should absolutely stomp Washington State. Lane is on a roll. The only thing that I would look at with this is that you just came off of that win against LSU, beating a team that Clemson couldn't think about beating, with a second-string former D2 quarterback. And then next week, you're at Georgia, then Oklahoma. What is my point by bringing that up? Today is not a sexy game, so to speak, for Ole Miss. Don't get caught looking, Lane. This is one of those games that you would blow it and everybody's sitting there like, I don't know how Ole Miss missed the playoff. This is how. Go in, take care of business, beat the crap out of them. As I said, they're a 33.5 point favorite. I'm going to take the under on this one, but I still see them winning the ball game. Probably I won't say the biggest game of the day. But it's one of the biggest games of the day. 3:30 CBS. Indiana travels to Oregon. Both teams are 5-0. This is number 7 versus number 3. Imagine someone waking up from a coma and finding out that Indiana is 5-0. And that last year, they did what they did. And this is only their coach's second year running the program. Oregon's a 7.5 point favorite coming into this game. I'm going to tell you the difference here. Dan Lanning has more talent across the board. If Curt Cignetti could get 75% of the talent that Oregon has, Oregon would win this ball game because Cignetti can coach that well. Dan Lanning, by the way, like the guy. The guy can coach. Don't take anything away from that statement right there. But Curt Cignetti is an older guy. He's older. He's been around. He was on Saban's staff. He was at James Madison. A lot of times when you see these quick changes, it seems like a younger, energetic guy. You get where I'm going with that? Has a little more fight in him. Has a little more youthful scrappiness. No, Curt Cignetti has been around for a while. And you can probably tell that he's this is his moment. And y'all, he's taking advantage of it. Even if he loses today by 20 points, this is still his moment. He's turned around Indiana football. Dan Lanning has more talent across the board. When you have more talent plus really good coaching, you're going to beat lesser talent with really good coaching. Why? Because the playing field in those two variables are unequal somewhere. So I see Oregon pulling this out. Dante Moore, this is a chance for him to not only make a statement, and he did it a couple of weeks ago against Penn State. This is not only a chance for him to make a statement that he's one of the best college quarterbacks, but also he is a top-tier quarterback for the upcoming draft. The guy 6'3", 206. He's passed the ball. He has a 79.8% quarterback rating, 1,210 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. 74.6% completion percentage, folks. This guy can play. This guy can play. I see Oregon taking this game. I'll take Oregon on the over of 7.5. 3:30 rivalry. Yeah, Red River rivalry. Oklahoma and Texas getting together in the old Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Texas is a 1.5 point favorite. Kind of shocked at that. How poorly they played against Florida. And listen to this. They played so bad against Florida, they dropped them slap out of the top 25. It's funny. Now, John Mateer has been rumored to play. I don't know if he will play. And in fact, I'm going to look that up right now. But he was supposed to be out. But he has been upgraded to probable. He's been upgraded to probable to play against Texas. He had an injury. He had a surgery, and now they say he is recovering. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. As long as he's not going out there prematurely, John Mateer and Oklahoma, I pick them to win this ball game. If he goes out there and he doesn't supposed to be out there and his hand's about to fall apart, I think that's the injury. Yeah, they'll lose this game and it'll end his season. There's no reason to do that. You're 5-0, and you have a crazy schedule coming up. I mean, you're at South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. I know you don't want to lose this rivalry game, but good grief. If sitting Mateer gets you through that last part, everyone will forgive a loss today. Did you hear me? Yeah, if you, this is what I say to Clemson fans all the time, who's like, oh, I just hope we can, turn everything around and we can back our way into an ACC championship if everyone else in the ACC, cannibalizes itself, or I don't know, they decide to quit playing football and we can make it to Charlotte. It's like, that's a short-term outlook on this team. What would be good for Clemson in the long run, other than your immediate dopamine rush? That's the same here with Oklahoma. You may go in and win this game, but if you further injure John Mateer, you can kiss that last part of the season goodbye, versus you have to make a business decision. Yes, Texas would be able to say they beat you again. Yeah, you wouldn't be too thrilled about it. What happens if Mateer comes back healthier next week and then leads you through one of the toughest schedules in college football? You drop only one more game because he's in it, and you make it to the college football playoff. I think that would be worth it. It's called a business decision. I see Oklahoma winning this game. I think Texas is just blah. I mean, they do not look good. 3:30 ACC Network, Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. Corny dad joke. Tech's going to win this game. Yeah, they are going to win this game. Georgia Tech needs to pay attention here. I mean, it's in Atlanta. It's a home game. This is not an amazing game. This is not a game that anyone is clearing their schedule to go sit and watch, unless you're a big Georgia Tech fan and you're just going to the game. Georgia Tech has a pretty easy schedule until their very last game when they play Georgia. I mean, they play Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pitt, and then Georgia on Thanksgiving weekend. You tell me, all right? You tell me why Georgia Tech can't run the table, at least at Georgia game. And of course, that's a non-conference game. But the only way that they're going to be able to do this is by focusing. They were off last weekend, but the last game they played, they won 30-29 at Wake Forest. And they probably should have lost that game. But they got out of it. They got out of that game. Georgia Tech needs to focus. Right now, if I'm Brent Key, I'm going to tell them that a loss is a loss. and that you shouldn't lose another game until you get to Georgia. And we'll talk about Georgia when we get there. Today is a focus game. Georgia Tech, 13.5-point favorite. I'm taking the under, but I see them winning. NC State, 3:30, plays at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 23.5-point favorite. Notre Dame's 3-2. They're on a 3-game win streak. They lost their first 2 games by a combined total of 4 points to Miami and Texas A&M. A&M tackled. Offensive lineman tackled one of their defenders right at the feet of the quarterback, and the official saw it, didn't throw a flag, probably could have changed some things, but hey, things happen. It was a 1-point loss. Since then, they've won. They even got Sam Pittman fired at Arkansas. Notre Dame is rolling right now. Marcus Freeman has done some really good things at Notre Dame, but he has to get those early season losses out of the way. Again, losing to who he lost to, their top 10 football teams, and it was barely losing earlier in the season. People will forgive that, especially after what he did last year. And then you throw the name Notre Dame in there, they'll definitely forgive it. So, NC State, 4-2. Don't be fooled by that. NC State, I don't think, is a very good football team. They're not terrible, but they're not very good. I see Notre Dame winning this game. They're 23.5-point favorite. I take the under. But I see them winning at Notre Dame today. Excuse me. Iowa State, 5-1, travels to Colorado. Iowa State's only a 2.5-point favorite. Roscoe Beck, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Colorado is 0-3 in their conference. I mean, this is just a rebuilding year for them. I always wanted to see how Colorado would do after the Sanders players, the Sanders brothers, and Travis Hunter left. Don't forget that wide receiver was Jimmy Horn Jr. Was that his name? That guy got overlooked by them. I saw him play this past Sunday. Guy looks good. Guy can play. But you lost those guys. The whole media frenzy over the father, the legend, coaching the sons and the adopted son. How would Colorado react? How would Deion react after that was over? It's very interesting. Iowa State's a 2.5-point favorite. I could see Iowa State losing this ball game. I'm not overly impressed with them. They're 5-1, but there's just something about them that they know how to lose games like this. They could be 6-0 today, and they know how to lose this game. It's very interesting. I really don't know who's going to win that ball game. And yeah, not going to spend too much time on that one. Arkansas at Tennessee, 4:15 SEC Network. Bobby Petrino. This is his first game as the interim head coach after Sam Pittman was fired a couple of weeks ago after Notre Dame just absolutely emasculated him. They're coming off of a bye. So Petrino, in his second stint at Arkansas as the head coach, though it's interim, this has favor written all over it for him coming into this Tennessee game. Now, I'm going to be completely transparent. I have no clue if Arkansas lost a bunch of players to the transfer portal. I don't know. Just being honest there. Because when Sam Pittman was fired, those players has a 30-day window to hit the transfer portal. Coming into a Tennessee game, that the Volunteers are 4-1, 1-1 in the conference. Tennessee's a 9.5-point favorite coming into this game. Every indicator says that Tennessee should win this game. And then, of course, you add the insult of losing to Arkansas last year, that being one of the only blemishes that you had on your record last year. You want a little payback. But again, this is not one of those games that everyone is just so thrilled about. Oh, can't wait to see Tennessee and Arkansas play today. I mean, if there's anything that's kind of good about it, is an interesting, intriguing, is that Petrino is back and that you don't know how he's going to coach. Will he make them competitive? Because no matter what you think about him, Petrino can coach. He can coach. With that said, Tennessee has to win this game, right? I mean, they can't blow it. I mean, a loss is a loss. You only lost to one game, and that was to Georgia by 3 points. Are you focused? What could be keeping them from being focused on this game? Next week, they're at Alabama. That 7:30 ABC. Herbstreit and Fowler will be calling the game. That's what could be in their mind. And let me tell you this, Bobby Petrino sitting over in a slightly dark corner with a little light shining over him. Maybe has a cigar, glass of bourbon, just doing this, going, don't pay attention to us. Look to the game at Tuscaloosa next week. Can you imagine the media frenzy if Bobby Petrino beats Tennessee? Wow. Wow. Holy smokes. If Petrino turns it around from this point on and gives them a winning record, I mean, they're 2-3. It's totally doable. I mean, they have Tennessee today, Auburn, Mississippi, or let me see. I'm wrong. Tennessee today, Texas A&M, that's tough. Auburn, Mississippi State, LSU, Texas, and Missouri. If this guy gets them to 500, they have to give him the job, don't they? I mean, who else is beating down the door to go coach at Arkansas? No one. The last time they were good, he was running things. And yeah, we know what happened. If never mind, I'm not even going there. I see Tennessee winning this game. I see them winning this ball game. But there's just this feeling I have that goes, this is a game that they'll get caught looking to next week, and Petrino will pounce. If Tennessee comes out flat and stays flat, they lose this ball game. You just take that to the house. But I'm going to go with Tennessee winning this game. Tennessee's a 9.5-point favorite. I take the under. This is a game. Josh Heupel has the same task that Brent Key at Georgia Tech has today. Stay focused. This is not an amazing game in front of you. Stay focused. That's it. And Heupel's team has a problem with focus. I tell you that. That's one thing I've noticed in the coaching deficiency. Also, their defensive scheme. I don't believe in their defensive scheme. Just throwing that out there for you. They have some really good defensive players, and the scheme I just don't buy into. I'll take Tennessee. Florida, after beating Texas and knocking Texas completely out of the top 25 from the number 9's position. That is funny. They travel to College Station to take on Mike Elko and Texas A&M today. 7 o'clock, ESPN. A&M's only a 6.5-point favorite. Marcel Reed is having a pretty solid season. 1,256 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. This game comes down to focus. Again, notice focus. Florida comes in. They're riding high after winning. They're still 2-3, 1-1 in the SEC. Keep that in mind. They're still 1-1 in the SEC and have a terrible schedule ahead of them. I mean, it is so flipping tough. This is a game for A&M. Stay focused. Florida's going to come out and play tough. Billy Napier has a chance to get to 500 here versus 33% win percentage. And he's playing for his job, or coaching for his job, excuse me. He's going to coach his brains out. I've seen this on Instagram. It's kind of funny. There's no tougher coach than Billy Napier when he is coaching for his job. And it's kind of true. This would be a game for Florida if they were to win. That would be unbelievable. If Lagway can stay solid and they can protect him, I say Florida standing a chance in this game. But I'm going to go with Mike Elko. This is a pivotal game for Mike Elko. You're like, why? Discipline. If he wins games like these, he's going to coach up for the big games. But it's games like these that will bite A&M and teams like A&M who are this close to truly being a college football playoff team. Not because they play an easy schedule, not because they're in a terrible conference, not because everybody else cannibalized itself, but to really be a college football playoff team that could make a deep run in. And I'm going to pause there. I'm not even going to talk about a national championship with them because they have to win games like this. I'm going to take A&M in a very hard-fought game. Upset special right here. Keep your eyes on it. Florida could win this game. Florida could win this game. And I'm not talking about the old Bobby Dodd, anyone can beat anyone any day mantra. No. Florida can win this ball game. Don't you be shocked if they do. Don't you be floored or wet your britches. Be crazy. All right, keep going. Kansas and Texas Tech. Kansas is 4-2, going into 5-0. Texas Tech, who spent a ton of money in Lubbock, ton of oil money on this roster. So 7:30 tonight on Fox, you can check out Texas Tech and some of the best results that you can get by paying your players. and I'm telling you, this team is doing pretty solid. And I'm slowly paying more and more attention to them. Jalen Daniels, believe it or not, is still playing quarterback at Kansas. Guy's thrown for almost 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The guy has to stay healthy and he has to make good decisions. If he does that coming into this game, they could upset Texas Tech. But I'm taking Texas Tech here. 14.5. I'm going to take the over. Maybe it's the fish tacos I ate last night sitting on my stomach just a certain way, but I see Texas Tech winning this game and covering. Get to the comment section. Say hello to everyone in here. Got Tiger Fan 24 in here. Oklahoma wins by 17 tonight. Jaden Butler. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you, my man. We are faithfully unoptimistic. Yes. I love it. Let's go, Tigers. Alex Patterson, good to see you. Oklahoma will stomp Texas today. My old buddy Travis Hamrick, good to see you, man. Let me see. I'm sick of the temporary adrenaline rush that leaves us disappointed. I want another 6-year run. Let's go, Tigers. Come on, Dabo, get it together. Let me see. Yes, I see the spammer, Parker. I just kicked them out. And then Texas loses big. It's good to see y'all in here. Hey, folks, if you like what I'm doing, hope you'll subscribe to the channel. It is free. I'm simulcasting on both channels on Another College Football Podcast, where I talk about college football as a whole. And then, of course, on my Clemson channel. So if you're watching this and you don't know about Another College Football Podcast, go check it out. And it's a new channel for me. So slowly building that up. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. If you're in the Clemson community, you're watching this on the Clemson channel right now. I just want to chat about why I started the other one. I love college football. I really do. Clemson's my team, but I love college football. And it is very interesting. And this message is directly to my fellow Clemson brethren. It is very interesting when you watch other college football teams and what they're doing now, and then watch Clemson play football. And I'm going to tell you this, you better put on your adult diaper, else you'll ruin your britches. When you watch other college football teams play, and then you turn over and you watch Clemson play, lack of intensity, lack of development, lack of scheme. We're always a couple of plays away, unless we're playing one of the worst teams in college football. I think Clemson's ranked number 58 right now. They're playing number 88 Boston College today. Who would have thought 6 weeks ago that we would be having this conversation as Clemson fans 7 weeks ago? Here's my point. You go and you watch other college football teams, you don't even have to become an expert on them. You don't have to have a second team. You don't have to spend all your time watching multiple football games. You will even more, you'll see the deficiency in Clemson. And I've been saying this for a few years now, more than a few years. Clemson, especially the fans, but the coaches, they live in this Clemson nucleus, this Clemson environment that doesn't go out and look at what's going on in college football. And if you can just keep the blinders, it's kind of like being in a cult. If you can just keep the blinders on every argument that is against you, everything else that's going on in college football, and you can keep it like this, everything's good in Clemson, even when you're 2-3. But the moment that you take that off and you go and you sit and you watch Oregon, you even watch Georgia. I didn't say these teams are great, but you go and you watch other football teams. You watch a team like Texas Tech that's being turned around right now. You watch Mississippi State with a younger, ambitious coach who has now given them more wins in this season than what they had last year. They were very close to beating Tennessee. You watch them play. You watch other teams play. You watch what Golish is doing at South Florida. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to bother you when you turn Clemson on, because now you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. And you'll also realize, and then I'm going to go back to talking about other games that's going on today, but I'm going to say this. Excuse me. I'm a little dehydrated this morning, but I'm just saying, you will realize that Clemson is living in the past, living on past accomplishments. And as I like to remind you, almost every Clemson video, when Coach Swinney, who I have a lot of respect for what he's done at Clemson, not lobbying for him to be fired at all. When Coach Swinney talks about this 6 consecutive playoffs and the 2 national championships in a 3-year period, you are not a bad fan, sir or ma'am, for realizing that the coaching staff we currently have, if my memory serves me correct, we only have 2 coaches left off of that staff, Dabo Swinney and Mike Reed. I'm not talking about former players that's been brought on. I'm talking about coaches, the guys who were responsible for developing the players, setting the culture, challenging them, creating a scheme, working together with the respective coordinators to ensure that scheme at the position level would actually be carried out, executed very well. Only 2 of them. This current coaching staff. I have said this over and over, and I'm not stopping. They don't need a quick coaching, but they are not Clemson level coaches. And a 2-3 record is proving it. Last year, every time you played a good football team, you lost. And if you want to talk about SMU being a good football team, go look at their schedule, who they played in the regular season, who they lost to. Clemson can't beat a top 10 football team if you put a gun to their head. Can't do it. Who is responsible for that, folks? Who? So when you go and you watch Clemson football and then you pause and you go, you know what, I'm going to flip over here to this Oregon game. I'm going to flip over here and watch this Texas Tech team. Texas Tech is a joke, but I heard, oh goodness, Texas Tech is actually much improved. Didn't say they're going to win the national championship, but they're much improved. I'm going to take a look at Brent Venables, our former defensive coordinator. I'm going to take a look at Georgia Tech and Brent Key. I'm going to take a look at Kirk Cignetti up at Indiana. I'm going to take a look. You quickly realize some stuff. Parker Henderson makes a very interesting comment here. If we lose another game, someone needs to be fired. I know it's hard to win, but butt cheeks need to be clenched the rest of the season. Parker, I agree with you 100%. I don't like to call for anyone to be fired. You know that my reason why too. My hope for people is that people will realize the mistakes that they make and then correct. And if you know me, I've had some people in business do me terribly wrong. And my hope is not for them to receive the same payment that they gave me. My hope, and I mean this, is that they'll realize that they were wrong, make the proper apologies, and then pivot in their life, make the proper changes to where they're not doing that to other people anymore. And I'm not trying to, all I'm saying is that's really what I want. But you know what history tells me? Most of those people are going to double down because there's a thing called pride and arrogance and a God complex that they cannot change. Let me rephrase that. They can, but they won't. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the Clemson coaches have a God complex, but pride, yes. Also, it's hard for you to be able to do something you can't do right now. You don't have the skills or the development or the ability. You hear this in leadership, and I know it gets cheesy. You get tired of it, rolling your eyes saying, I don't want to hear this, but it's true. It's hard to take someone you've never been, right? Okay. I know it's cheesy, but it's true. I hate to say this, Parker, but unfortunately, you're right. And the next, I don't believe they will. I don't believe, maybe one. This entire coaching staff pretty much needs to be overhauled, other than Luke and Allen, just because they got there. They both have. Let me tell you this: when guys like Tom Allen and Matt Luke shows up in your coaching staff, and everything's so chaotic, it's still affecting them. Folks, it's not them, because remember, they're the ones who has the history of excellence. They come to Clemson and it starts going bad. That should tell you how bad it is at Clemson. When guys who are normally excellent everywhere that they're at, they're having that bad of problems. That should really scare the crap out of you. Let's get back to football here. Georgia at Auburn. You know, this oldest rivalry in the South. 7:30 ABC tonight. Georgia's a 4.5-point favorite. You know Auburn's going to play them hard. But I just see Georgia. I just see Georgia winning this ball game. I know it's kind of like the easy answer. Georgia's only a 4.5-point favorite. I'll take the over. I see the Bulldogs going in and beating Auburn. Auburn is a mess. I say a mess. They're 0-2 in the SEC. They're just, I say they're a mess, but I mean, their last two losses was by 7 points and by 6 points. But the thing is, they're just not. I expect a little more from Hugh Freeze. I see Georgia winning that ball game, covering the 4.5. Michigan playing Southern Cal. Still weird to me that this is a Big Ten matchup. Both teams are 4-1. Southern Cal just got their first loss. Who was that against? Oh, 34-32 against Illinois. Lincoln Riley in his tenure out at Southern Cal has not been that good. Southern Cal is a 2.5-point favorite. This is in Los Angeles. It's on NBC tonight, 7:30. I don't know who wins this ball game. I think that it's the two logos playing one another looks big, but overall, this is a blog game. I'm going with Michigan. I'm going with Michigan winning this ball game. Either one could win. I really don't know. 7:45 SEC Network, South Carolina, traveling to Baton Rouge, taking on 4-1. 1-1 in the SEC. LSU. The Bayou Tigers is a 9.5-point favorite. Garrett Nussmeier, 1,159 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions coming into this ball game. Last year, there was at least one controversial call. A lot of people believes that had South Carolina beat LSU, that they would have made it to the college football playoff. And though I'm a Clemson Tiger, I do believe that as well. I saw the call. I have different feelings about certain calls that are being called in college football right now, and we could all talk about, well, that's the rules. Yes, I agree. Those rules need to be changed. I don't want dirty hits in college football that could end someone's career or put them in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. At the same time, folks, football players are giving a set of pads and a helmet, a hard helmet with a face mask for a reason. And when you have guys lifting weights all the time, and running all the time, and training all the time, there's going to be some hard hits, guys. That's not spearing, right? It's not doing something dirty. And that was a hard hit, but to me, if they're going to, and I know this was last year's game, if no one can throw a hit on Nussmeier unless they pick him up real nice and neat and lay him down to the ground, I think that if we really want to protect the quarterback, when a quarterback throws an interception, he cannot pursue the person who's running the ball back. If the quarterback needs to be protected that much, they have to take a knee. That's ridiculous. So is over policing hard hits. I'm sorry. If you don't want to get hurt, don't play the game. This is a different South Carolina team. A lot of preseason hype. Yep, Clemson was preseason hype. They blew it. Yeah, 100%. Still doesn't change what's going on in Columbia. They lost most of their defense from last year, and everyone and their brother overlooked it. And then one day I did a deep dive in South Carolina from my other channel, another college football podcast. And you know what I realized real quick? They lost a ton of experienced defensive talent last year. But everybody want to talk about Sellers, which, by the way, is very talented. Dylan Stewart, incredible. Nick Harbor in his speed, his Olympic speed. And you know what I said? Y'all are not Ohio State or Georgia who you get to reload. You're a South Carolina football team that had a solid season last year, and Beamer can coach, but you don't have what those other schools I just named out had or have. And I was, people, you're 3-2, 1-2 in the SEC. And tonight you're going to lose another game, and it's going to be to LSU. Not because they're that incredible, but because you lost that much. If you had the same team last year, I would actually probably say, yeah, you'll go into LSU. I could see you getting this win. But I've watched South Carolina play and watched them play a lot. They're losing this game tonight. Well, folks, games are about to kick off. I don't want to keep you here. Take just some quick look at a couple of comments before we go. Cade has never been the answer versus any team with a pulse. I understand the shot in the dark, what you're saying. I understand what you're saying there. Cade was one of the most ill-prepared by this quarterback, by this coaching staff in the Clemson Dabo era, or in the Dabo era. And to prove my point, look how Vizina looked like he had never, like he was a true freshman this past week. They're doing it to him too. It's a coaching issue. It's a coaching issue, my friend. And we can transfer, and I know you're not saying this, we can, for everybody who's wanting to only go to the transfer portal and you think that's going to be the complete fix, no, the complete fix is overhauling the coaching, the coaching staff, and go into the portal to bring in the right players. Because if you do, especially if you don't address the coaching, you can portal it up, baby, and you're still going to have the issues, right? It's maybe the only thing you get away with is bringing in a player someone else took the time to develop, because this is not a development program. Clemson doesn't know how to develop a player, and Cade is one of the prime examples. And then Christopher Vizina, we saw that the other day. You can't unsee it. Again, good to see you at the shot in the dark. If Dabo doesn't make the hard choices in terms of coaching staff, then eventually Dabo will be able to do his job, which is to put butts in seats at these prices. Yeah, and it's not going to change. Tiger Tom. I'll be shocked if the proper changes are made. Carolina jackpot. Oh, buddy, getting in here. Not happening. Garrett Nuss is Cajun Klubnik. That's, you know what? He has been overrated, but I have watched y'all play. Doesn't look good, and I've watched their defense. I think they have just enough to beat y'all tonight. If this was y'all's last year team, Carolina jackpot, Gamecocks win this ball game. I think I could see them winning this ball game, like legitimately. I just don't see y'all winning. Your offensive line is falling apart. Your defense has, other than Dylan Stewart struggling, I see y'all losing this game. Again, not because LSU is that good, because y'all lost that much talent, and it matters. It matters. Good to see you, buddy. All right, folks, I'm going downstairs. Go watch some football. Have a steak down there. May cook it up. Yeah, may cook it up. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. All right. I will have a pregame for the Clemson game tonight. Halftime and postgame, unless something happens. But anyway, y'all take care of yourself. Pass this video along to all your friends and neighbors who loves college football. Hope you'll subscribe at another college football podcast. And yes, remember, subscribing's free.